So today I'm going to share some interesting stuff that I learned this week. Hi there, my name is Sue. If you haven't been to my channel before, I talk about the carnivore diet, but I'm interested in all things to do with health, natural health, and things to make us feel better in our bodies. And so I'm always digging into lots of information, and I thought that I might do one of these videos a week if I can remember to take note of the interesting stuff that I've been learning, because I'm always looking at different things. So this week I've been looking into lots of information around the mitochondria. So I came across a product called methylene blue, and I've actually started taking it, and I'm going to do a video about that and the results that I'm getting. But today I'm just going to talk about some interesting stuff that I've learned while researching all that sort of thing. So I've been digging lots into the mitochondria because methylene blue helps with the mitochondria, and because I had so much issue with mold having affected my health, I was kind of very aware that my mitochondria probably weren't functioning very well. And so it's something that I'd been thinking about for a while, and then since I've been researching the methylene blue, I've come across lots more information about the mitochondria and how they work. Now, there's some things that I didn't know about mitochondria. I kind of knew what they were. I knew that they were the little energy factories in our cells, but what I learned this week is that they are not human. Did you know that? The mitochondria are not part of us. They are bacteria. They are part of our microbiome. And even more astonishing than that is that there are up to 2 million of them in one cell. So they used to think, there was a couple of hundred or a few hundred or whatever, but they've reassessed that and discovered that there's actually way more. And so apparently in some of the cells that are really important, so for example our brain cells and our heart cells, there are many more mitochondria in them, and they estimate between 1 and 2 million mitochondria in one cell in some of these areas. That just blows my mind. How little do those things have to be? Now, the mitochondria, if you don't know what they are, they're the energy factories in our cells, and they create ATP, which is the stuff that we need to create energy in our body and in our cells out of the food that we eat, basically. So the food we eat, this is a very broken down version, goes into our digestive system, is absorbed through the villi in our small intestine into the bloodstream, and then those tiny little pieces that it's been broken down into then go into the cells, and the mitochondria can use those carbohydrates and fats to create ATP. So something else that I learned is that the mitochondria require sunlight to function optimally. And so if you're not getting outside enough, if you are covering yourself in sunscreen when you go out and clothing and sunglasses, you're not doing your mitochondria any favors. So you can use red light therapy, and that really helps the mitochondria to function properly as well. So I'm looking at possibly getting a red light therapy device, especially for through the winter. Getting out in the sunlight, because the sunlight is required for our mitochondria to function properly. And when, for example, like I said, I'm taking methylene blue, the methylene blue helps the mitochondria. The sunlight or red light therapy helps to activate that more. So this is really interesting. So the light is required for the mitochondria to function properly, and the mitochondria create light as well, from my understanding. Now, everything that we consume and everything within nature is affected by sunlight and requires sunlight, basically. Most things do, except for those funny little moles that live under the ground, things like that. But most things require sunlight to be healthy and to survive on this planet. And the food that we eat, so the mitochondria use the fats and the carbohydrates. They can use either or both to create energy. Protein, from my understanding, is used to build structures in our body. It's not used for energy, but the fat and the carbohydrate is. Now, the fat and the carbohydrate both have a backbone, and when the mitochondria break that down, that backbone is light from the sun. That is amazing. I got this information listening to Zach Bush. I love listening to Zach, and this just blew my mind when I listened to it. Now, another thing that amazed me, which is connected to all of this, is that when a human egg is fertilized by the sperm inside the mother's body, at the moment of conception there is a flash of light, and you can look that up online and see pictures of that. So it's like this, at that very moment that it's conceived, it's just this flash of light. And so when I think about all of that, you know, the light that's required by our mitochondria to function, and the light that's required in our bodies and made in our bodies by the mitochondria, the light that's created when the sperm fertilizes the egg, we are beings of light, literally. And that just amazes me, blows my mind, and just makes me happy all at the same time. And the last thing that I wanted to share on here is not to do with carnivore, but it is possibly helpful for some people out there. And that is, I've been listening to Mary Ruddock and Bill Schindler on a video, and then I had never heard Mary Ruddock before, and then so I went on a bit of a binge on her channel listening to her information, and she's great. For some reason, learning about health and that just is a vibe that just does something for me. And so listening to Mary's information and Bill's just gave me a buzz. And Mary was talking about the people in the blue zones, and she was talking about what a lot of rot the whole blue zone thing is. But she was talking about the people in Ikaria in Greece. So she lives in Greece, and she was talking about how the people in Ikaria eat sourdough bread, but it's fermented for 3 days. Now, I have made sourdough bread for years, and I make it for hubby still, because he eats it for lunch pretty much every day. And he was finding that sometimes the bread would make him a bit bloated in the belly, and I kept saying to him, you need to stop eating that bread. But then when I was listening to Mary's video, and she was talking about this, the 3-day fermented bread, she said something that just amazed me. She said that when sourdough is fermented for 3 days, the gluten, which is a lectin, and it's a plant toxin, and this is what creates a lot of health issues in people from eating wheat and barley and grains that contain gluten. That when it's fermented for 3 days, the gluten goes from around 70,000 parts per million down to 12. Yes, 12 parts per million from 70,000. That just amazed me. So now I have made one lot of bread for hubby. The second lot is now in the fridge. I make his bread, I make the dough, I put it into a bowl, cover it, put it in the fridge for 3 days, bring it out and eat it, put it in the tins, let it rise, bake it. And so that first lot that I fermented for 72 hours, he said he had no bloating after eating that. So, if you're going to eat bread, or if people in your family are still eating bread, making your own sourdough is the best way to go. I use organic flour, so there's no glyphosate. It's really simple. It's 3 ingredients. It's flour, water, and salt. There's no oils or anything in it. It's the simplest, really traditional sourdough bread. If you want to know how to make that, if you've got people in your family that are still eating bread, and you'd rather that they ate something that was actually going to be healthy and has almost no gluten, then make sourdough bread. I'll pop a link to my video on how to actually make that below, but just remember, if you're following that video, in there I say to leave it for 6 to 8 hours or overnight, leave it for 3 days, put it in your fridge, cover it with some cling wrap or something else, and just pop it in the fridge for 3 days, and then bring it out, knead it, and then put it in your tins, let it rise, and then bake it. Simple. So that's the stuff that I learned this week that kind of gave me a bit of a buzz and got me a little bit excited and blew my mind. And so I thought I'd share those. So if you have got any comments or questions about any of that pop them below. If you like this video and want to see more of like this, make sure to subscribe. I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day. Goodbye for now.